Hey guys, I know it's been a hot minute since we have seen you last, or you've seen us last, I should say. But today we will be taking this pile of wood and turning it into this. Hopefully I'm putting a picture of our chicken coop there. But what we're doing is we're going to be making the Justin Rhodes Chick Shaw 2.0. And we are going to deviate from his instructions a little bit for our purposes. Like, we aren't going to go in and make the nesting boxes right away. I'm just going to leave that back wall completely closed, and then once the chickens start producing eggs or get a little closer to starting to produce eggs, I'm going to buy a roll-away nesting box and we're going to retrofit that into the coop. But we don't have that yet, so we're not going to do that yet. But everything else is about the same. Hopefully we can get it done all in one day. What we're going to do is build the entire frame first. And then we don't have the axles for the wheel, so in the middle of the day we're going to go into town, get the axles, and then put the axles and the handles on it, and then we should be done. But hopefully we can get everything else done first.
Justin Rhodes has some great plans, so this is by no means a replacement for those. This is just going to be a brief overview of how we built it. We started by making the floor just out of 2x4s, as you can see. I pre-drilled all the holes that were really close to the edge, that way I didn't split the 2x4 or anything. But yep, super simple, just using some construction screws to connect everything. And just leaving the frame like this wouldn't be very strong, so we added some diagonal corner braces just by cutting a 2x4 out of 45. This made the frame nice and sturdy. And then for the bottom, we actually used 1/4-inch welded wire mesh instead of the 1-inch welded wire mesh that Justin Rhodes suggests, and this is just because that's what I had left over from my old chicken coop. Now if you're building a new one and you have to order all of this, I would suggest going with the 1-inch wire mesh because the 1/4-inch is just a little too small. It lets them walk on it, I think, a lot easier, but when they poop, the poop gets stuck up on the mesh and we're going to have to go in and scrape it off once in a while. I didn't realize how many things we did differently from Justin Rhodes until I started doing the voiceover for this, but we actually changed the size of the wheels that we went with. He, I think, went with the 24-inch wheels. We went with 16-inch wheels. If I had to do it again, I'd probably do the bigger wheels and go with the 24, but there was just like a $60 cost difference. So I don't think it really makes that big of a difference, but it would kind of be nice to have those larger wheels. We just made the axle using a 1/2-inch threaded rod, a couple nuts and lock washers, and then the wheels obviously just spin right on that threaded rod using their own bearings, so no big deal there. And then for the footholds, because the front of the Chick Shaw is held up by these little footrests, we obviously braced those off using another 45-degree brace.
Look at that, I'll roll it back. Alright, so let down. It wants to tip forward because there's more weight forward, and there will be way more weight forward. So it should be alright. Although, once birds get in it, I don't know.
For the sides, we used this galvanized corrugated metal roofing because it was just left over from my old chicken coop. Who could have guessed? But instead of only doing half of the sides in the solid metal and then doing the other half in the wire mesh, we ended up doing the whole side in the metal just because it was a little easier. And we have some pretty harsh winters up here in northern Arizona. I think our coldest temperature this past year was -5 degrees. So they don't need all the ventilation that they would if we were in a hotter, more humid climate. And then having the full bottom wire mesh as well as the front wire mesh gives them plenty of ventilation inside there, but also keeps the heat in there pretty good. Moving on to the roof, we just used the 2x2s, screwed them on. Since we did this, we actually had a really bad storm and I didn't have the latch on the front that he has you put on so you can open and close it and lock the roof down. I didn't have that latched and it blew the roof off of the entire chicken coop. So since then, we just kind of screwed the roof down. We don't really have to get into the coop for any reason. And if we do, we just pop out a couple 3-inch screws and we can get into the coop. So I don't think the hinges are a necessity.
I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear me, but it's interesting. You can see where the chickens have been versus where they have not been towards the other side. All green. In here you can see they've eaten down a bunch of the grass and scratched it up and pooped on it, so now it's gonna be nice and fertilized. I'm excited about this.
And then so that we can move the chickens around the pasture and they can be completely safe inside a fence, we're using a Premier 1 electric poultry netting. I think it's the 160-foot one. We're also using a solar-powered fence energizer that just hooks directly onto the fence, and then we're using the fence post as a ground in that image as well. And then as you can see, one of the first upgrades we're going to do to the Chick Shaw is an automatic coop door. We went with the Omlet automatic chicken door. I believe that's exactly what it's called, not positive. It just runs on 4 AA batteries. It's not solar powered, so you don't have to screw around with any of that, just 4 AA's. And we have it set so that it opens in the morning and then closes at night. You can set it so that you have to manually open and close it, but I don't know why you would do that for an automatic door. Or you can set it so it opens at a certain time and closes at a certain time. Now, for a lot of people, getting up in the morning isn't such a big deal, but my work schedule is such that I work late at night, so I like to sleep in the morning before I have to get up and go to work around mid-morning or late morning, I should say. So being able to have the coop open up in the morning, and then I can just go and refill water, refill food, collect all the eggs at night instead of in the morning. That works really well for us. As well as moving the coop around, I'll do that in the evening as well. Now, as you saw, the Omlet chicken door did require some assembly. Don't ask me why. You only put in like 2 or 3 parts and that was it. So I don't know why it couldn't have just come fully assembled, but that wasn't a big deal. It was pretty easy to do. Putting the coop door on the Chick Shaw was also pretty easy. I just framed out the opening so that it was the right size and then screwed the door on. Once the door was screwed on, I just went and attached the little bracket to hold on the control panel, and it was done. The control panel has the light sensor on it, so when it gets light out, the door opens. When it gets dark out, the door closes. It's working really well so far, and I'm super happy with it. It has been a while since we finished the Justin Rhodes Chick Shaw, and the chickens have been living in it, and it has been about 2 months since we put the Omlet automatic chicken door in it, or installed that on it. The automatic chicken door is doing fantastic. It still has 100% battery life, and it's been about 2 months. But now we have one more thing to add to the Chick Shaw to make it the perfect mobile chicken coop, and that's right behind us. You can see my hand there in this big box. So let's pull it out and we'll talk a little bit more about what it is and what we're going to do with it and how it's going to work and how it's going to make our chicken coop and the Chick Shaw even better. Here and pull.
All right. So this is some portion of it. This is going to turn into that, a rollout nesting box by Best Nest Box.
All right, so we chose a rollaway nesting box just because we wanted to keep our eggs a little cleaner so we didn't have to wash them off and such. And then we wanted it to be easy to access the eggs. And at this point, we thought we were putting this nesting box actually in the chickshaw, but we ended up not doing that, and it just kind of follows the chickshaw around and sits on the ground. It works really well. It did, however, take a little time for the chickens to get used to it, as you can see, and it took a little time for them to start actually laying in it. We still don't get 100% of the eggs in the nesting box, but we get most of the eggs in the nesting box. Sometimes they hide the eggs underneath the coop or in the coop, but that's just 1 or 2 eggs. So the nesting box is working really well so far, no problems. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Sorry we haven't had a video out in a long time. We've had a bunch of kind of personal things going on in our lives, and we just haven't had time with work and such going on. So it is what it is when you are also working full-time job and trying to do this video thing and trying to actually take care of and build the rest of your house and take care of your chickens. It got a little busy. But we will have some more videos coming out. This is just the first one. And then I think next week we are having a video about installing our internet. And then we will finish up the siding on our house. And then we are adding front decks to our house and doing some more little projects inside. So stay tuned. We got a bunch of stuff coming up. I know I keep saying that, but now we're actually getting videos out since we haven't for the past couple months. Our bad. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next time.